Sudhanshu Trivedi of the Congress, Pavan Verma of the JDU, Maroof Raza still with us. Manish Tewari, my first question to you. Eventually the Congress party has ended up looking quite silly in this because, you expected the government to go soft and then you would jump in and say, we are going to take a more muscular position compared to our own wishy-washy position in the past. But now, the way the government has drawn the line and drawn it unambiguously, saying talks will not happen, they will only happen if the issue is terror. A, the achievement of getting talks only on terror, which you could never achieve. B, of ensuring that Pakistan does not have any leeway. C, of not letting the Hurriyat spoil the issue and try and rake up Kashmir out of order from what was agreed at UFA, which you could never do when you were in government. The talks will not happen if you go ahead with meeting separatists. So the point that emerges, and Manish Tewari, don't be partisan today. The point that emerges is that you have to acknowledge that the government has sent out a categorical message of the kind that you couldn't do. Now, if you try to appear to be the opposite of what you were in the past, try and be muscular, it's not going to look good. You're aware of it, so have you revised your position over the last 48 hours? Manish Tewari, opening with you, others are free to come into the debate. Ji.
Well, Mr. Goswami, it's absolutely an oxymoron. Who sought the UFA meeting? The UFA meeting was sought by India. Who stood up a day after the UFA meeting and rubbished the joint statement as saying it is non-binding? It was Sartaj Aziz. Who almost chopped the joint statement into pieces and threw it into the dustbin? It was the Finance Minister of Pakistan. Who perpetrated the Gurdaspur attack in Punjab, the first terrorist attack after 20 years? It was Pakistan. Who caught the Pakistani terrorist in Udhampur, the Village Defence Committee people? And you have incessant firing on the line of control and the international border, which has killed innocent civilians. And after that, the government of India still wanted to talk to Pakistan. Talk about what? For 10 years, these people kept saying that terror and talks cannot
What were you talking about?
And then you look
no,
at
I'm
the
sorry,
UFA
Manish
format.
Tewari. What were you talking about? What were you talking about? Manish Tewari. Manish Tewari, I'm sorry. Please tell me. No, please tell me. Let me ask you. Let me ask you. 1 second. I have a right to ask you a counter at this point. Mr. Manish Tewari. Mr. Manish Tewari, I want Mr. Manish Tewari.
After I finish.
Mr. Tewari, no, at a right point. Interruption at a right point. At the right point.
For 10 long years, you said terror and talks cannot go hand in hand. And then you come to UFA and you say, I'm going to talk about terror. So for 10 years, were you misleading the country? Was that hot air and rhetoric that you were blowing? That you immediately made a U-turn on your position? So therefore, Mr. Arnab Goswami, if the government would have been wise, it would have realized that Pakistan never wanted to talk from day one. They led you up a garden path. And you went up a garden path. And now what you've seen today, this kabaddi match between the External Affairs Minister and the National Security Advisor of Pakistan.
Kabaddi match.
Have long-term implications on
interesting reference. I've heard many references before. Mr. Tewari, you're overshooting your time limit, sir. You're overshooting your time limit, Mr. Tewari, please. Now, Mr. Tewari, overshooting your time limit. I will only point out to you what you're calling a kabaddi match. A kabaddi match reference is interesting because I think the government has been successful in squeezing out of Pakistan at least a discussion focused solely on terror. Contrast this with the weakling, candy floss, wishy-washy position.
Is there going to be a discussion?
The wishy-washy position.
Is there going to be a discussion?
Was there a discussion in Sharm el-Sheikh? Was there a discussion in Sharm el-Sheikh? Was there a discussion?
If this is what you wanted, you could have always done it without UFA.
Was there a
Why did you go to UFA and ask for a meeting?
Why did you make a compromise in Sharm el-Sheikh?
Why did you go to UFA and ask for a meeting? Why did you reverse your position that you had held over 10 years?
You should be.
Terror and talks cannot go hand in hand. What impelled you to reverse that position?
Sir, you should
Those are the answers which the
Sir, you should be questioning the Pakistanis. You're questioning the Indians, which I don't understand where you stand tonight. Sudhanshu Trivedi responding on the other side today. Sudhanshu Trivedi, Manish Tewari. Please go ahead. Sudhanshu Trivedi ji, kahiye.
Pakistanis will be
kahiye. No, Sudhanshu Trivedi, please.
Have been questioned. That
Sudhanshu Trivedi. Let's hear the other side.
Sudhanshu Trivedi also.
I would like to ask the Congress party You name a single instance in the entire history of Indo-Pakistan relationship when Pakistan agreed to talk precisely on terror. Whatever was agreed in UFA, it is in black and white in public domain. That too at the level of the Prime Minister of Pakistan, that they agreed to talk on terror. And they retrieved, yes, of course. The Foreign Minister, Sushma Swaraj, has made it very clear. They have started retrieving after 3 weeks. But they have agreed, it is in the knowledge of entire international community. As far as the talk is concerned, it been categorically clarified by Foreign Minister that the talk comprises of 8 subjects, out of which we were discussing no other than terror. And I would also like to remind, the only instance in the history of Indo-Pak relationship when Pakistan's Prime Minister committed in the National Assembly that they will not allow their land to be used to perpetrate terror against India, it was in 2004, General Musharraf in January, when there was also NDA government. So we have succeeded then, we have succeeded now. So whatever is emerging out of it is nothing but exposing Pakistan totally. But unfortunate event is that there are certain forces in Pakistan which try to derail the talks. Definitely, they have succeeded in exerting pressure over the Prime Minister of Pakistan. I am unable to understand why Congress party here wants to be in that category.
Pavan Verma.
Means they want
Pavan
to
Verma.
fall in that category.
I'd like to get Pavan. I'd like to get Pavan Verma in.
May I come in for a
No,
moment?
I'd like to get Pavan. I want to open up the debate and only then.
May I come in for a moment?
I'd like to get Pavan Verma in.
Just for a moment, may I come in for a moment? I just want to ask Sudhanshu Trivedi one question. For 10 years, you kept saying that terror and talks cannot go hand in hand. What made you reverse your position, do a 180-degree somersault, and in UFA you agreed to talk about terror?
Point
Your
taken,
Prime Minister
respond
said
time.
That no talk.
Point taken, time to respond.
Yes.
No talk.
Because the talk comprises so many issues. It comprises Kashmir, it comprises Arnab, it comprises water distribution, another thing. And we were of the firm belief that terror along with talks cannot go. This was the talk on terror, not keeping terror in abeyance and talking on rest of the issues. This was the talk on terror, so we got an opportunity to push Pakistan back to the wall of the issue of terror.
Then you've agreed to talk about terror. A complete reversal of your position. You know, it is hypocrisy.
That's why we are saying it is not a talk.
To remind you,
it is the precisely on the issue of terror. And at the time you were discussing all the things other than terror. And we have never allowed Pakistan that type of leverage which is being given by your government. Whether it was in Havana when you said that Pakistan itself is a victim of terror.
So therefore,
this was the biggest alibi Pakistan would have got.
Undermined your government.
And in Sharm el-Sheikh you said that everything will go on, the talks will go on irrespective of whatever happens.
Will have long-term implications on India's national security.
A minute.
Unfortunately, your follies will have to be borne by the.
Now, Manish Tewari. Manish Tewari.
It will have a long-term impact. We have made it clear that if you want to talk, only talk on terror. And we will not allow any Hurriyat people, like in your case, when Hina Rabbani Khan was visiting India, Manmohan Singh has ordered MA officials to facilitate a good meeting of Hurriyat leaders with the Pakistan foreign minister. Our government is having a starking contrast as compared to your government. Whether it is Havana, whether it is Sharm el-Sheikh, or whether facilitation of talks of foreign officers with the Hurriyat leaders.
If ever anyone would have got a Nobel Prize for chicanery and completely undermining national interest, it is your government.
Now, Manish Tewari and Sudhanshu Trivedi, let some others come into the discussion.
When you were in opposition, let some do a 180-degree turn.
Let some others come into the discussion, including Pavan Verma, who I hope will be balanced in his approach, so the propensity to go with you will be greater. Now, Pavan Verma, there was a man called Manmohan Singh. When he was Prime Minister, Manmohan Singh, there were 51 ceasefire violations, and you remember the July 13 terror attack in Mumbai. Immediately after that, Manmohan Singh said, Yusuf Raza Gilani is a great man, a man of peace. And India and Pakistan are both victims of terror. This is just a little while after he had also ensured that Pakistan blames India for creating trouble in Balochistan, which had the stamp of approval from Manmohan Singh at the Sharm el-Sheikh summit. This is the record of a man called Dr. Manmohan Singh. And on the other hand, there's a person called Narendra Modi and Ajit Doval, the National Security Advisor. They are saying, you want to talk to the Hurriyat? in the way that you were talking when the Congress party was in power. It's not going to happen. It's totally unacceptable. Ajit Doval and Narendra Modi have also ensured that there is an explicit reference to voice samples from Pakistan, and whether or not the Pakistanis are chickening out now, the fact is that UFA, they managed to get Kashmir out of the agenda, and they ensured that a discussion on terror was promised on. Whose position is better? Be honest tonight. Don't give me the typical political response to this. Give me the clear nationalistic position, which I expect from a person and an ex-diplomat of your eminence tonight. Pavan Verma, go ahead.
Arnab, now that you have given me enough coaching as to what to say, let me say what I believe. If the talks between the two NSAs, are focused on the terrorism sponsored from Pakistan against India, and if Pakistan agrees to it, I believe it's a good development. However, when you start making comparisons between the Manmohan Singh government and this current government, I don't want to play partisan politics today because national interest is at stake. But I can say to you that this government's policy towards Pakistan has from the beginning lacked strategic framework, strategic, coherent, cohesive thinking. And I'll give you 3 reasons for it, and you can yourself mull about it. So I've already made my premise clear that if the NSA talks are on terrorism sponsored by Pakistan, and if Pakistan agrees, it's a good development because Pakistan must own up to that terrorism, including the new proof that you have brought out against Dawood Ibrahim and such like terrorists. But you will accept, I'm sure, that the ceasefire violations from Pakistan had increased after this new government came to power. You will also recall that they had been suspended precisely because these ceasefire violations sponsored by Pakistan were taking place. I have not been able to ever understand fully how the government unilaterally then decided to resume foreign secretary level talks when the ceasefire violations were the precise reasons why they were called off. That being as it may, when the foreign secretary
Sir, talk about UFA.
Okay, I'm coming, sir. Just give me 30 seconds more and I'll stop. Then you had a situation where because of the meeting of the Hurriyat, the foreign secretary level talks were called off. Now we had a situation of a stalemate where our soldiers and Jawans were dying on a daily basis. The scope and ambit of terrorism from across the border was increasing. A month before the Prime Minister went to UFA, the Foreign Minister said there will be no talks until the perpetrators of Mumbai are brought to justice, are brought to court. But the Prime Minister made an initiative in UFA. After the initiative in UFA, the Pakistan side rubbished it. Now, one consequence of this whole thing of UFA, Arnab, please let's have a reasoned discussion, has been an undue prominence that has been acquired by a near marginalized organization called the Hurriyat. In survey after survey, the people of Jammu and Kashmir have said that they will participate in democratic elections in spite of the Hurriyat's call to boycott them. There was a
Sir, you are not answering my very specific question.
15 elections. Sir, I'm coming. Sir, please, because you cannot have a reasoned discussion, a good debate on a black and white basis. This Hurriyat organization, faction-ridden, broken into 3 factions, had become a marginalized entity in Jammu Kashmir.
Really?
And especially after the last democratic elections. To my mind, their whole sway over the people of Kashmir was not what they claimed it to be. Now, because of the undue focus on the Hurriyat being the only stumbling block, more or less as it appears now before the NSA talks, the Hurriyat has acquired the role of a spokesperson of the
Sir, I'm sorry, I don't get this. I don't get this argument. No, I don't. I'm finding it strange that you don't ask Manish Tewari one basic question. And I think the time that you have taken to build your argument also is a reflection, with the greatest of respect, of the fact that it is lacking in conviction. You may disagree on whether it's lacking in logic, but it's a bit. No, one second. You are usually a very focused debater. You are usually a very focused debater.
I began by saying, sir, that if the NSA talks are on Pakistan-sponsored terrorism alone, which is essential.
I have a very...
And if Pakistan agrees to these talks, it's a good development.
So I have a very simple question. No,
I began by saying that.
No, I have a very simple question. I want to ask the Congress party, what was their policy? And what is their policy, Maroof? Does Manish Tewari believe a meeting with separatists is a legitimate reason to cancel the talks? Do you? Because if you do, why didn't you call off talks in 10 years when you were in power? If you do, why didn't you question the government when it previously did call off talks? Why is it, Manish Tewari, that you are now suddenly egging the government to call off the talks? You think we've forgotten what you said earlier? You see, Manish Tewari, you're between a rock and a hard place on that one. And you know you don't have any answers to it, which is why you're going all over the place.
May I respond now?
Yeah, please.
May I respond now?
Yeah, go ahead and Maroof will respond. Yeah. No diatribe, just a question.
I will rewind you back. I'll rewind you back to the External Affairs Minister's press conference. A gentleman from your sister or brother paper, The Times of India, asked the External Affairs Minister a question that, Madam External Affairs Minister, when Mr. Pervez Musharraf or General Pervez Musharraf had come to India, your Prime Minister, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, permitted him to meet with the Hurriyat before going to Agra. And then he went on to ask her that, do you think in hindsight it was a mistake? And she ducked the question. She says, Raat gayi, baat gayi, or some stuff like that. So therefore, the engagement between the Hurriyat and the Pakistani leadership at the apex level did not start during the Congress time. It was
needle in a haystack.
Midwife by Atal Bihari Vajpayee,
Maroof Raza,
Prime Minister of India. So therefore, please get your facts right before you point an accusing finger.
My facts are very clear. You're the one who's confused. Maroof. Yeah, Maroof.
May I, with the permission of Mr. Tewari and the other panelists?
I'm giving you a fact.
I just want to make 3 or 4 quick points, sir. Sir, please allow me to make 3 or 4 quick points.
Go right ahead.
Point one is,
go right ahead.
there are skeletons in the cupboards of every party. Let us not keep rigging up the past. In national interest, let's look at what can be done in the future. So therefore, to say this one invited, that one invited, let me also tell you that whereas Sharm el-Sheikh happened in your Congress party's time, right now this is Pakistan Sharm el-Sheikh moment at what happened in Ufa. Let's accept that. And that is why they're trying to wriggle out of it. The second point is, Sartaj Aziz is not uneducated that he couldn't read the fine print of the 5-point joint statement by the foreign secretaries which was jointly read out. So clearly after that he came under pressure, is trying to get out of it. The second point is, the Hurriyat has not become a major player overnight. They've been a player in politics of J&K related with India and Pakistan since 1994, sometimes in the being rather prominent, sometimes low-key, but they've been around. I think the important thing is what is emerging from this, apart from what all of you have brought out, is something which is there in the public domain now. And I was one person who was against talking to Pakistan, but I am also for bringing Pakistan to book for their acts of terror. And if these talks achieve that, then what it is also achieving in the long run, and this is my last and very important point, sir, and that is that there is a collective decision now taken by the Obama administration, President Hollande of France, Chancellor Merkel of Germany, Mr. Modi and others, that unless you engage more and more with the civilian administration and government in Pakistan, the army will continue to try and scuttle the process.
Now,
in the past, we have seen that. Yeah. Do you want that to keep happening, or do you want to move forward? That is my question to all the panelists.
One second. Before you ask each other counter questions, I want to come in and
yes, sir.
One second. One second. I want to get Pavan Verma and Sudhanshu Trivedi also. No, you'll keep asking each other counter questions, but we have a wonderful opportunity which may be lost in the process.
Allow me the prerogative of asking Mr. Maroof Raza one question. Maroof, hypothetically, I agree with all your premises. But when Mr. Sartaj Aziz went back from Ufa and stood up and rubbished the joint statement, called it non-binding, injected conditionalities into it, including Kashmir and Balochistan, Couldn't India read the tea leaves?
Sir, was it your
When
responsibility?
Gurdaspur
Let me ask you
happened,
now.
couldn't we read the
No,
tea leaves?
sorry. No, I'll ask you now.
No,
I'll ask you now. I'll ask you now.
Let me
One
answer
second.
that.
Arnab,
let me answer that.
No, Maroof, before you
Arnab,
come
let me
in,
answer
before
that.
you come in, a
Arnab,
simple
please.
answer to that. No, one second. My
Let me
question.
answer that.
No, before.
Let me answer that.
Maroof, if we get into a long discussion, I need to come
Let me answer that. Just a quick answer. Just a quick answer. Mr. Tewari, sir. Mr. Tewari, Arnab, just let me give a quick answer. Mr. Tewari, Sartaj Aziz did not rubbish it in UFA. Sartaj Aziz gave explanations back home when he arrived and came under flag of his public and the media and the army. He did not rubbish it in UFA. He gave explanations back home because when his neck was on the line, I think there is a big difference between UFA and Islamabad.
Now, gentlemen, please, between both of you, the answer is simple.
What was he doing? What was he doing in UFA?
Manish,
What was he doing in
Maroof
UFA?
and Manish, I can't keep trying to outshout both of you.
What was he doing
1
in
second,
UFA?
gentlemen. 1 second.
Was
The question is this. Maroof, stop please. Maroof.
When all this was
Maroof,
happening,
and now
clearly
both
he was party to
okay,
it,
pull back. There's a
but under public pressure at home, he changed his stance.
There is a simple answer. There is a simple answer to that very, there is a very simple answer. Manish, now listen to me please. You have to listen, Manish. A very simple answer. Pakistan betrayed India.
You seem to have cut off my audio.
Nobody's cut off your audio. That's what the problem with the Congress is. You always feel the whole world is against you. Now, 1 second, please.
No, I'm in the sense I could see myself speaking and could hear you.
Sir,
so obviously, somebody's cutting off the audio.
You and Maroof were...
You're dealing with somebody who's your own countryman.
Mr. Manish Tewari, I will send you the tape later so that you can go through it and convince yourself that you are wrong. Anyway, I don't want to get into that discussion right now. My point is...
I don't want the tape. Or all I'm saying is that when I'm speaking or somebody else is speaking, it is unpalatable or uncomfortable. Don't lower the audio.
Mr. Manish Tewari, I'm saying to you once again that your audio has not been lowered and that your perceptions of your audio being lowered are wholly and absolutely incorrect. Now, can I please move?
I could see myself on the screen and hear you.
I could see you on the screen and hear you.
That it was my face and your audio. Please.
Mr. Tewari,
let me assure you that I was speaking loudly because you were not allowing me to speak.
Okay, can we come
Mr.
back?
Tewari, let me assure you that I had to shout because you were not allowing me to speak.
The question is this.
So you were very much on air.
The question is
Don't worry, sir. You were very much on air. And you are not even allowing me to make my points. You are very much on air.
It's acknowledged all over South Asia, not only on your channel, but it's acknowledged all over South Asia that you have the loudest voice. And I really compliment you because India needs your loud voice, in the strategic debate of South Asia and the world. Now,
Mr. Tewari, I won't return the compliment. I'll just come straight to the point. Okay. The point is this.
Mr. Tewari, it'll be nice if we are all together.
Yeah, that's the point.
If we are all together because we'll make a greater impact.
The point is this. Pavan Verma, we are wasting time. We are obfuscating. Pavan Verma and Sudhanshu Trivedi. My point is simple. Pakistan betrayed India because the Pakistani army put the pressure on Nawaz Sharif. I feel the entire opposition, and this part I want Sudhanshu Trivedi and the entire opposition and government and everyone should have come together and put collective pressure on Pakistan. You made the promise to discuss terror. When people are victims of terror, Pavan Verma, BJP, Congress, CPI, CPM, Aam Aadmi Party, nobody sees who's a victim of terror. All Indians are a victim of terror. Hence, all Indian political parties should have in one voice told Pakistan, you are playing a irresponsible game of diplomatic cheating. We should not have been trying to focus more on whether India should have agreed. I mean, this is an absurd argument. I'll just take 2 minutes. I think it is absurd for the Congress or the opposition to say we should have never believed Pakistan in the first place. I mean, you've been believing, Manmohan Singh has been believing Pakistan for 10 years. Now for the Congress party to say the focus should not be on whether Pakistan betrayed you, the focus should be on why you believed Pakistan in the first place. I find this unacceptable. Sudhanshu wants to make a point and then Pavan Verma can come in on this point. Yes, please. After that, we are closing. Yeah. Sudhanshu ji.
Arnab, whatever you have said, it looks quite good in a spirit. But the problem with both the parties, the Congress and the JDU is, I can explain with one incident. If you remember, when our soldiers were beheaded, What was the statement of then Defence Minister A.K. Antony on the floor of the House? That there were some intruders in the dress of Pakistani army came and beheaded our soldiers. He was even refraining from making the name of Pakistani army. It was after the hue and cry from opposition, means then opposition, BJP. Then he said, no, it was Pakistan army. And other thing, the Congress leaders have got enormous opportunities to visit the houses and villages of those who are accused in terror, but none of the Congress leaders visited the house of those soldiers who were beheaded. And Mr. Pavan Verma's party, JDU,
Pavan Verma.
The dead bodies of those soldiers landed on Patna airport. No minister went there to receive. On the other hand, one of the ministers in Bihar has said, "वो तो होते ही मरने के लिए हैं." If this type of thinking is there in the ideological moving of these parties, that's why I am saying in my first instance that if there are some forces in Pakistan, the fundamentalists and the army supporting the
I think Pavan Verma should get a chance to respond to that.
And the opposition wants to be
Pavan Verma respond karna chahta hai. Go ahead.
Arnab, I need to respond.
Yeah, go ahead.
Arnab,
Go ahead.
The reference point for this debate was the impending talks between the two NSAs on the question of terror. If Mr. Sudhanshu wants to politicize this debate by making cheap scoring points against political parties within India, then I have got an entire arsenal to unleash against him and his party and his
I want to say these were the facts.
For all his muscular talk, during the elections about the UPA being soft, he has shown the most incoherent, inconsistent and incomprehensible foreign policy in its flip-flops to Pakistan. But I was not getting into that debate. Today is not the occasion. If you want a debate on that, I'm prepared for it. There has been no consistency, no identified principle on which either friendship or sudden enmity to Pakistan has been displayed. But there is one question, and I think we should rise above party politics on that. Pakistan needs to be nailed down now before more lives are lost on the border.
Agreed.
On the question of the terrorism it sponsors from across its border.
Agreed.
And if the NSA talks take place on that issue, and if Pakistan agrees, I hope this government has the preparation and the ability to make its point. The second point I want to make it, symmetry is all very good. But symmetry must be preceded by detailed
Closing the
preparation,
debate.
anticipating what will happen after you've signed a declaration loosely framed in UFA. You must anticipate it. And you must therefore not raise expectations and then fall back on jingoism and patriotism.
But come together, Pavan Verma, come together now. Come together, enough.
So therefore,
enough of this, come together for once.
Not you.
I want
to come together now.
And I would ask through you. And I would ask through you to tell Sudhanshu not to politicize this debate.
Don't on either side, don't do
policy
that.
of our Modi government is concerned. It is categorical and consistent based on the hard
Please
facts.
don't do it, Sudhanshu.
We were there that there should be no talk with Hurriyat in August 2014.
We are
on the same page that in August 2015 there should be no talk with Hurriyat. And one more thing I would like to quote.
Nationalism.
In the recent, there is no patriotism. It is on the hard facts. Modi ji visited UAE.
Okay, gentlemen, 1 second. I thank you all.
You know,
Come
Modi ji
together.
was giving a speech in UAE and he was saying that there can be no good Taliban or bad Taliban. You remember, the Taliban government was recognized by just 3 countries. Pakistan, Saudi Arabia and UAE.
Foreign policy
to say in UAE that there cannot be good Taliban or bad Taliban. This is a strategic
Sudhanshu ji, you have your strengths on several issues. Manish Tewari and Pavan Verma. No, Sudhanshu ji, Manish Tewari and Pavan Verma are very strong on foreign policy. I am requesting, like any citizen would, what an opportunity we have today, and what we have even nailed where Dawood Ibrahim is today. What an opportunity we have. Today, let us come together. This is the best time to take on Pakistan collectively. Yes. I think the government should get together with all political parties and come together with a common approach, especially on the issue of Pakistan. I think much can be achieved there. Thank you very much for joining me on debate number 2 on the News Hour tonight. Thank you.